Hello, everyone. My name is Sultan. Today, I will be talking about Secure Shell Protocol, also known as SSH, and how it is implemented using OpenSSH on Linux systems. And SSH is one of the most widely used protocols for secure remote administration of servers. So, in this presentation, that's what I'll be explaining about. So, what is SSH? First, as I said earlier, it stands for Secure Shell Protocol, or just Secure Shell specifically. And it is a cryptographic network protocol used to securely access and manage remote systems over a network. SSH encrypts all communication between the client and the server, which protects data such as usernames, passwords, and commands from interception. By default, SSH runs on port 22, and it was created as a secure replacement for older protocols like Telnet or RLogin, which transmitted data in plain text and were vulnerable to attacks. So, what is OpenSSH? And it's essentially SSH with open source implementation. And is open source project developed by the OpenBSD team and comes pre-installed on many Linux systems. And OpenSSH provides tools for both clients and servers. The client allows users to connect to remote systems, while the SSH daemon called SSHD runs on the server to accept incoming connections. And OpenSSH also includes utilities for managing encryption keys. And how SSH works. When a user connects to a remote system using SSH, several steps occur. So first, the client sends a request to the server to establish a connection. Then the server presents its public key so the client can verify its identity. Next, both systems exchange encryption keys to create a secure channel. And once that channel is established, all communication between the client and server are encrypted. And SSH uses multiple cryptographic techniques to secure communication. With public key cryptography is used during the initial handshake to verify identity and exchange keys. After the connection is established, symmetric encryption is used for faster secure communication. And this also supports two main authentication methods, which is password authentication and public key authentication. And public key authentication is considered more secure and is widely recommended for server environments. So, to install OpenSSH on Linux, since it's mainly used on there than on Windows, the OpenSSH server package must be installed. On Debian-based systems such as Ubuntu, the installation can be done using the apt package manager. After installation, the SSH service can be checked or started using system CTL commands. Once running, the system will begin listening for incoming SSH connections on port 22. So to connect to a remote system using SSH, the user simply runs the SSH command followed by the username and the server's IP address. If authentication is successful, the user gains secure remote access to the system and can run commands as if they were physically present at the server. Then the server settings are controlled through a configuration file called sshd_config. This file is located in the etc. and SSH directory on most Linux systems. It can be slightly located, maybe a file or different too, depending on your system. Administrators can change settings such as the listening port, root login permissions, and authentication methods. After modifying the configuration file, the SSH service must be restarted for the changes to take effect. And I have about 3 recommendations on what you do. 3 security recommendations on what you should do once you have it all set up. So the first one is disable your root login. That is the first recommendation through SSH. Allowing root login increases the risk of brute force attacks. Instead, administrators should log in with a regular user account and use the sudo command for administrative tasks. This adds an extra layer of protection to the system. The second recommendation would be using SSH key authentication instead of password authentication. So SSH keys use a public and private key pair to verify identity. The private key remains on the client machine while the public key is stored on the server. This method is significantly more secure than password authentication because it is extremely difficult for attackers to brute force private keys. And then with your third recommendation is to change the default SH port from 22 to a different port number. This technique helps reduce automated scanning and brute force attacks that completely target the default SSH port. While it's not a complete security solution, it helps reduce exposure to automated attacks. So, finishing up here, SSH is a protocol used for secure remote access and server management. And OpenSSH provides a reliable and widely used implementation on Linux systems. However, proper configuration is essential to maintain strong security. Disabling root login, using SSH key authentication, and changing the default port, all the 3 methods mentioned earlier, are effective ways for protecting SSH servers from any common attack. And implementing these best practices can help maintain the confidentiality and integrity of remote connections. So with that, thank you for watching. Excuse me. I hope you learned something new today. My throat became dry. But I hope you all learned something new out of this. And I will see you guys later. Goodbye.